Hey everyone, welcome in the deep dive. So today we're going to be looking at pulmonary rehab and
Yeah,
kind of all the cool new advances in this area.
absolutely.
We've got some research from Taipei Medical University.
Right.
We've got studies on daily activities and lung health.
Yeah,
And we even have some patents
yeah.
for non-wearable breathing monitors.
That's right. And that's actually something I'm really excited to talk about because it shows how the field is moving
Yeah.
towards these more personalized approaches to respiratory care,
Yeah.
which is really the future of how we manage these conditions.
Yeah, I'm really excited to break down what all these findings actually mean for our
Yeah,
listeners and how they can use it to kind of improve their own journey.
absolutely.
Before we get into it, though, I have to say some of the stuff we came across was really surprising.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know that, like, how you store your groceries
Oh, wow.
can affect your energy levels?
I did not know that.
I had no idea.
Okay.
But I guess let's start with the basics.
Okay.
We've got this material here about symptoms and this idea of looking beyond the lungs.
Right.
What's that all about?
Well, we always think about respiratory illnesses in terms of coughing, phlegm, shortness of breath.
Yeah, the usual suspects.
Right, but those symptoms can actually sometimes be caused by things that weren't directly related to the lungs.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, for example, there was one study we came across that talked about postnatal drip actually mimicking some lung symptoms.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I could see how that would be confusing.
Absolutely.
Like, you would think you need lung treatment when it's
Right.
actually something else completely.
Exactly. And that's why understanding the root cause of your symptoms is so important for creating a really effective treatment plan.
Yeah, you don't want to be treating the wrong thing.
You don't want to be barking up the wrong tree. It's
Yeah.
not going to get you where you need to go.
Exactly.
And it highlights the need for a more holistic approach to pulmonary rehab,
Okay.
where we look at the whole picture, not just the lungs in isolation.
So it's like detective work to figure out what's
Yeah.
really going on.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I'm ready to put on my detective hat.
Let's do it.
So something that really caught my eye was the research on technology and rehab.
Okay.
There's a whole section here about pedometers and how they're being used with COPD patients.
Yeah, using technology to empower people with COPD is such an important area.
Yeah,
There was one study in particular that I thought was really interesting
okay.
that used the Tanita PD-724 pedometer.
Okay, but why that specific pedometer? Was there something special about it?
Well, for one, it was incredibly easy to use,
Okay.
which is really important for encouraging consistent use.
Right, you want people to actually use it.
Exactly. But what set this study apart was that they actually went beyond just tracking steps.
Oh, okay.
They incorporated personalized goals and feedback based on each patient's progress.
So it wasn't just about counting steps, it was about, like, motivating people to keep going
Exactly.
and pushing themselves a little further.
Precisely. And the results were really impressive.
Oh, wow.
Participants not only increased their physical activity levels,
Uh-huh.
but they also showed significant improvements in their exercise capacity,
Oh, that's great.
which is a key indicator of overall health and well-being for people with COPD.
So that's amazing. Like, something as simple as a pedometer can make such a big difference
It really can.
when it's combined with the right support and guidance.
Absolutely.
Speaking of activity, I was really surprised to see, like, how much energy we actually use
Yeah,
on just everyday tasks.
it's true.
There was this study that analyzed the energy costs of, like, everything from, like, getting dressed to putting away groceries.
It's easy to overlook
Yeah.
those little things, especially when you have a condition like COPD that
Right.
already makes it harder to breathe.
And this study found that even, like, seemingly simple tasks,
Right.
like reaching for something on a high shelf
Yeah,
or bending down to tie your shoes,
absolutely.
can really drain your energy.
It's true.
So it's not just about, like, structured exercise. It's about understanding how to manage your energy throughout the whole day.
Exactly. And that's where energy conservation techniques come in.
Okay, so tell me more. Like, what are some of the things people can do to make a difference?
Well, think about the tasks that really wipe you out.
Okay.
Maybe it's carrying heavy laundry baskets up the stairs or
Right.
standing for long periods while you're cooking.
Okay.
Think about, are there any tools or techniques that could make those tasks a little bit easier?
Ooh, like using a rolling laundry basket or like a stool to sit on while you're cooking.
Exactly.
Right.
It's about working smarter, not harder.
Love it.
You can also try breaking down tasks into smaller chunks,
Okay.
prioritizing activities, and planning rest periods throughout the day.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Little adjustments can add up.
Absolutely.
This actually ties into another piece of research about balance.
Okay.
Apparently, people with COPD often exert more muscle effort,
Really?
especially in their arms, compared to healthy individuals.
That's interesting.
And it makes me think about the connection between energy expenditure and balance.
Yeah.
If you're constantly straining your muscles, it can make you more tired
Right.
and then more prone to losing your balance.
Exactly. And that's why assessments like the timed up and go and single leg stance
Okay.
are so important. They can help us identify these balance issues early on
Right.
and then develop strategies to improve stability.
So are there like specific exercises or techniques that can help improve balance for people with COPD?
Absolutely. Strength training in particular plays a crucial role,
Mm.
focusing on strengthening the quadriceps
Quadriceps, those are the
in
muscles.
the front of your thighs.
Yeah, gotcha.
Can make a big difference.
I always thought strength training was more about building muscle mass,
Sure.
but it's also about balance.
It's both.
Wow. Okay, note to self, add more strength
To
training.
your routine.
But let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
and talk about airway clearance techniques.
Yeah.
We've got some info here about postural drainage, percussion, and vibration.
Right.
What are those and how do they help?
So airway clearance techniques are all about helping you clear mucus from your lungs,
Okay.
which can be a major issue for people with COPD.
Yeah.
Postural drainage uses gravity to help drain the mucus
Okay.
by positioning your body in specific ways.
You're like tilting your body to help the mucus come out.
Exactly. And then percussion and vibration involve gently tapping or vibrating the chest wall to loosen the mucus and make it easier to cough up.
I've heard of chest physiotherapy before.
Yeah.
Is that similar?
Yes, chest physiotherapy often incorporates these techniques, and it can be really helpful for people with COPD.
Okay.
But it's important to remember that not all techniques are created equal.
Right.
Some, like postural drainage, can be done at home without any special equipment,
Okay.
while others might require the assistance of a therapist.
Yeah, that makes sense. So there are options depending on your needs and
The
resources.
excessiveness of each technique
Yeah.
can vary from person to person, depending on your condition.
Right.
It's really crucial to work with your healthcare provider
Right.
to figure out which techniques are right for you.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground.
We have,
From
yeah.
symptoms to holistic approaches,
Yeah.
technology, energy conservation balance, airway clearance.
We've been busy.
I want to talk about something that I think is often overlooked,
Okay.
the mind-body connection.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
It's an essential piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Research shows a really strong link between COPD and mental health conditions like anxiety and depression.
Hmm.
So it's not just a physical condition.
Yeah.
It impacts your mental well-being too.
And it makes sense.
Right?
If you're constantly struggling to breathe and worried about your health,
Yeah.
it's going to take a toll on your emotional
It's a
stuff.
vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Because anxiety and depression can actually worsen your COPD symptoms.
Oh, wow.
So addressing those mental health challenges
Yeah.
is really crucial for your overall well-being.
So what can people do? Are there any like strategies or therapies that can help?
Yes, thankfully there are,
Okay.
and we'll dive more into those in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Stay tuned.
This is getting really good. We've got so much more to explore,
We do.
from non-wearable monitoring technologies to personalized COPD subtypes.
Right.
So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more insights and advice
Absolutely.
to help you take control of your pulmonary health journey. Welcome back to the deep dive. So before the break, we were talking about that mind-body connection
Yeah.
and how mental health is so important for managing COPD.
Absolutely.
I'm ready to hear more about those interventions you mentioned.
All right. Well, one that's showing a lot of promise is cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT.
CBT, yeah, I've heard of that, but remind me what that is exactly.
It's all about recognizing and changing negative thought patterns
Okay.
and developing coping mechanisms for stress and anxiety.
So like rewiring your brain to react differently
Yeah, exactly.
to those tough situations.
That's a great way to put it, and studies show that it can really help. It can improve mood-reduce anxiety levels
Okay.
and lead to a better quality of life for people with COPD.
That's really encouraging.
Yeah,
It shows that we have more control over our well-being than we think sometimes.
absolutely. And there's another approach that's really relevant to what we've been talking about.
Okay.
Multi-component exercise training.
Multi-component. Okay, what makes that different from regular exercise?
Well, it goes beyond just the physical aspect.
Okay.
It combines education breathing exercises, relaxation techniques, and sometimes even psychological support.
So it's a more holistic approach
Yeah.
to exercise addressing both the physical and the mental.
You got it. And research shows that this kind of training not only improves physical function, but it also has a really positive impact on mood, anxiety, and overall quality of life.
It's like a power-up for your whole system.
Exactly.
Speaking of powerful tools, remember those non-wearable monitoring technologies we talked about?
Oh, yeah, those are game changers.
What do you see as the biggest advantage of them?
Continuous monitoring in real-life settings.
Okay.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Traditional methods only give us like a snapshot of
Right.
how someone's breathing,
Okay.
but these new technologies allow us to gather data 24/7,
Wow, so it's not just seeing how someone breathes in a clinic.
Right.
It's seeing how they breathe throughout their whole day.
Exactly, and that continuous stream of data
Right.
can reveal these subtle changes or patterns that we might miss otherwise,
Okay.
which allows for earlier intervention and more personalized treatment plans.
It's like having a little health guardian angel
It
constantly
is.
looking out for you.
And it also opens up so many opportunities for personalized interventions.
Okay, how so?
By analyzing the data, we can pinpoint individual triggers
Mm-hmm.
and develop custom-tailored strategies.
Wow, so no more one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly. It becomes truly personalized care.
That's pretty amazing.
It is.
That's where the real potential lies in treating the individual,
Absolutely.
not just the disease.
It's the future.
But let's be real for a second.
Sure.
These technologies are still pretty new.
Yeah,
What about cost accessibility?
right.
Even data privacy?
Those are all really important considerations.
Yeah.
And I'm optimistic that as they continue to be developed, they'll
Yeah.
become more affordable and accessible to everyone.
Yeah. And hopefully as they become more widespread,
Right.
we'll see strong security measures and ethical guidelines to protect that data.
I agree. The potential benefits are too significant to ignore.
Okay, changing gears a little bit.
Okay.
There's this section here about identifying different COPD subtypes.
Yeah.
Can you explain what that means?
So instead of viewing COPD as just one condition, researchers are discovering that there are all these distinct subtypes within it,
Interesting.
which is really helping us move away from these generalized treatments
Okay.
towards more targeted approaches.
So how do they categorize COPD into different subtypes? Like, what do they look at?
So one study we have here analyzed data from thousands of patients
Wow.
over 16 years.
Okay.
And they used 15 different clinical features to identify patterns.
50? Wow, that's a lot.
It is a lot.
What were some of the things they were looking at?
So they looked at things like BMI history of smoking,
Okay.
whether patients had other conditions like anxiety, depression, diabetes, even the type of therapy they were already receiving.
So they're really trying to get a complete picture of the person,
Absolutely.
not just focus on their lungs.
Exactly. It's all about understanding the individual, not just the disease.
Right.
And by recognizing these subtypes,
Yeah.
we can develop much more effective treatments
Right.
that are tailored to each person's specific needs.
This is mind-blowing.
It's really cool.
So instead of saying, okay, you have COPD, here's the standard treatment,
Right.
you can say you have this specific type of COPD,
Right.
and here's the best approach for you.
Exactly. It's personalized medicine at its finest.
I love it. And, this whole idea of subtypes
Yeah,
ties back into something we talked about earlier,
that's that.
the mind-body connection.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
Thinking about how mental health plays a role in those different COPD subtypes.
Yeah, it's so fascinating how everything we've been talking about
I know it's all connected.
is interconnected.
And there's another really fascinating connection we haven't even talked about yet.
Okay, what's that?
The link between our breathing patterns and our mental state.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Have you ever heard of respiratory sinus arrhythmia, or RSA?
RSA, that's a new one for me. What is that?
So it's basically a natural fluctuation in your heart rate
Okay.
that's linked to your breathing.
Hmm.
So when you inhale, your heart rate speeds up a little bit. And then when you exhale, it slows down.
So my heart rate's supposed to change with my breathing.
Yes, it's totally normal.
Okay, good.
It's actually a sign of a healthy cardiovascular system.
Well, that's good to know.
But what's really cool is that different breathing patterns can actually be associated with different emotional states.
Wait, are you saying you can tell if someone's stressed or anxious
Yeah,
just by how they're breathing?
to some extent, yes.
Wow.
Rapid shallow breathing is often linked to anxiety,
Oh, yeah.
while slow deep breathing is more common in relaxed states.
That makes sense. When I'm feeling overwhelmed, I definitely catch myself
Yeah.
taking those short, shallow breaths.
And this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Researchers are exploring biofeedback techniques
Okay.
to actually help people regulate their breathing patterns.
Biofeedback, like those brainwave monitoring things.
It can be. In this case, it's about using technology to give you real-time feedback on your breathing. So imagine wearing a sensor that tracks your breath
Okay.
and displays the data on a screen,
Okay.
so you can actually see how your breathing changes
Wow.
in response to your thoughts and emotions.
So it's like taking those deep breaths everyone's always talking about,
Right.
but with like a high-tech upgrade?
Exactly. You can actually see the impact it's having.
That's amazing.
And studies show that this kind of biofeedback training can
Yeah.
be incredibly effective
Okay.
in reducing anxiety, improving mood,
Wow.
even helping people manage chronic pain.
That's incredible. It feels like we have so much more control over our health than we realize.
We absolutely do, and that's the empowering message I want people to take away.
Yeah.
By understanding your body,
Mhm.
being mindful of your thoughts,
Yeah.
and taking advantage of all these incredible tools and technologies,
Yeah.
you really can take charge of your health journey.
Okay, I'm feeling empowered. But before we wrap things up,
Okay.
I want to go back to those non-wearable monitoring technologies for a second.
Sure.
What do you think their future impact on pulmonary rehab is going to be?
I think they represent a real paradigm shift in
Okay.
how we approach respiratory care.
Wow.
They have the potential for truly personalized and proactive management
Okay.
of conditions like COPD.
So instead of just reacting to symptoms,
Right.
we can actually anticipate and prevent problems
Exactly.
before they even happen.
That's the goal.
That's amazing.
With continuous monitoring, we can detect those subtle changes early on and
Yeah.
intervene early,
Right.
leading to better outcomes and a better quality of life for everyone.
That's a great vision.
It is.
Speaking of visions, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the future of personalized pulmonary rehab as a whole.
Oh, wow. Big question.
Yeah.
There are so many exciting developments, but one area that I think has immense promise is the integration of artificial intelligence into pulmonary care.
AI and pulmonary rehab.
Yeah,
Now that sounds futuristic.
it is.
Tell me more.
So imagine AI algorithms that can analyze tons of data
Right.
from different sources,
Right?
patient records, wearable senses, environmental data, even genetic information.
Wow, that's a lot of data.
It's a lot of data, but what could we do with it?
Yeah, what could we do with all that information?
We could develop these highly personalized risk assessments.
Okay.
We could predict disease progression,
Hmm.
and we could tailor treatment plans with incredible precision,
Wow, it's like having a super smart health advisor by your side constantly.
guiding your every step.
I love it.
AI could also play a huge role in developing new therapies and medications,
Okay.
which could lead to even more effective treatments for COPD and other respiratory conditions.
So the future of pulmonary rehab is pretty bright.
I think it's incredibly bright.
Yeah,
But it's important to remember that technology is just one piece of the puzzle.
right.
The human element is still so important.
What do you mean by human element?
I'm talking about the importance of the patient-doctor relationship,
Oh.
shared decision-making, and
Right.
personalized care that addresses the whole person,
Yeah.
not just their symptoms.
So it's not about replacing human interaction with machines.
No,
It's about using technology to make that interaction better.
exactly. The future of pulmonary rehab is about combining the power of technology
Yeah,
with the compassion and expertise of healthcare professionals
right.
to deliver the absolute best care possible.
I love that it's about empowering patients to take an active role
Yes.
in their own health journey.
Absolutely. And that brings us right back to the theme of our deep dive today,
Yeah.
personalized pulmonary rehab.
It's about understanding your unique needs,
Absolutely.
working with your healthcare team,
Yeah.
and using all the amazing resources out there to achieve your goals.
And never forgetting that even small changes can make a big difference.
Yeah, those little steps, those daily choices
Yeah, exactly.
that add up to a healthier, happier day.
Precisely.
Now, before we move on to the final part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
All right.
We've talked about all the science and technology
Yeah.
behind pulmonary rehab,
Right.
but what about the personal side?
That's a great point.
So here's a question for our listeners.
Okay.
What does pulmonary rehab mean to you? How has it affected your life?
Yeah.
What are your hopes and dreams for the future?
Good questions.
Take some time to reflect on that, and we'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. I hope you had some time to think about that question. What does pulmonary rehab really mean to you personally?
Yeah, it's an important one.
It's easy to get caught up in all the science and technology,
Right.
but at the end of the day, it's all about improving people's lives.
Absolutely. It's about giving people the tools and the knowledge
Yeah.
to breathe easier, live fuller lives, and pursue their passions.
We've covered a lot in this deep dive. We've gone from the science behind symptoms
Yeah.
to the power of personalized interventions
Right.
to the mind-blowing potential of new technologies.
It's been a wild ride.
But throughout it all, we've emphasized one key message: pulmonary rehab is not one size fits all.
Absolutely not.
It's about finding what worked for you.
It's about tailoring those strategies to your specific needs and goals.
Exactly. So as we wrap things up, What are some of the key takeaways you want our listeners to remember?
Well, I think first and foremost, knowledge is power.
Yeah.
The more you understand about your condition,
Right.
the more empowered you are to make good decisions about your care.
And don't be afraid to advocate for yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
Ask those questions, seek out resources,
Right.
find a healthcare team who listens to you and supports your goals.
It makes all the difference.
And remember, even small changes can have a big impact.
They really can.
Whether it's moving a little more each day, being mindful of your breathing, or just finding ways to manage stress.
It all adds up.
It's about those little steps, those daily choices that create a healthier, happier you.
That's what it's all about.
And never underestimate the power of connection.
So true.
Reach out to support groups.
Yeah.
Connect with other people who understand what you're going through.
Right.
Share your experiences. You're not alone in this.
Absolutely not. There's a whole community out there.
We're all in this together.
We are.
Now, before we say goodbye, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Okay.
We've talked about all the incredible tools and technologies,
We have.
but ultimately, the most powerful tool you have is your own breath.
That's beautiful.
Your breath is always there with you.
Yeah.
It's a source of life and vitality.
So true.
So I want everyone to just take a moment right now
Yeah.
and connect with your breath.
Just breathe.
Notice the rise and fall of your chest.
Yeah.
The gentle flow of air in and out.
That's amazing.
Your breath is always there for you.
Yeah.
A reminder of your strength and resilience.
It's a powerful symbol of hope and healing.
And as you continue on your pulmonary rehab journey,
Yes.
remember to breathe deeply.
Breathe deep.
Embrace those possibilities.
Absolutely.
And never stop advocating for your own health and well-being.
Love it.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.
It's been a pleasure.